Hey, this is Alan with GameLark Remixes. I'm here with Ro again, and this time we're going to be talking about charity work that he's done with collaborations and stuff like that. So, why don't you say hello?
Hey, how's it going?
And why don't you get started with Multiplayer VG, which is a charity album that I believe you were instrumental in starting and founding.
Sure. So, Multiplayer, a tribute to video game music, is essentially a charity album collected by about 30 tracks of, over 30 different video game remixers and musicians, released on, your standard releases on Louder and iTunes. And basically what we're doing is creating an album to sell for, to raise money for Child's Play Charity, which is an amazing network that provides toys and gifts and also video games and books to children's hospitals all over America. And it's a fantastic experience of mine that came out last August, August 2014. And I guess I'll start by explaining how it came to be.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure. So, before any of this had happened, the game community, the covers and artists and so on, we were kind of spread out doing our own thing, and there were a lot of collaborations, here and there, but there definitely wasn't a definitive album or kind of creation or effort done by, a lot of people. I was talking to my friend David Russell, whose channel is David Russell 323 Music.
Okay.
And I'd known him for about a year and a half at that point, maybe more. We were just, talking, what if we got some way to bring all of these different musicians together to, do something for charity in the same way Awesome Games does Quick do their speed runs and raise money for, like cancer awareness and research. And it's just like, it was always in my head that if these speedrunners and gamers can raise money for charity, like streamers, like Markiplier, why not us? So we started thinking about ideas on making an album with some sort of challenge so that people would be really engaged. And we listed off, maybe 40 or 50 emails or messages for all of the video game remixers that we'd known at that point that were very active, very experienced with, creating their music and working together. And we were just, no one's going to reply to this. Let's just see if someone wants to do this. We were doing this in February or March in preparation to ask them to do this in the summer. Make one album in 1 month. So we thought no one would reply, and we got like 35 replies out of like the 40. And from there, we were just thinking, now what? So we came up with a challenge where every artist or like group would get one letter of the alphabet, and of course we ran out because we truly did not expect that many people to say yes. So instead of your standard 26, we ended up with 30. So we came up with the extras to do numbers, and basically I wrote a quick like random alphabet giver program, and everyone got their letter, and they just, had a little bit more than a month to come up with, a song choice from a game. So every song on Multiplayer VG album, the first letter is from the alphabet. So if you look at it, it goes A, B, C, D. I, of course, got A by random, I promise. And I chose... Right. Right. I ended up doing athletic theme from both Yoshi's Island and Super Mario World kind of mashed up. And... Family Jewel 7X had Brinstar, and Doc Jazz had like Click Lock Wood. It just, ended up being like this nifty challenge where everyone found a song with their letter, including X. We had Jonathan Parecki, Shion's theme from Kingdom Hearts 358 and a half. There was a way to do it every single letter. So the process from there was just I kind of organized spreadsheets, and we tried our best to keep track of the deadlines, and luckily we got a lot of different people involved of like different skill levels and definitely different sounds, so we were just able to kind of combine it, and eventually we ran a little over the time, but we put together the album. We sent it to Louder, which is this fantastic servicing and support company, and they license all of the video game tunes. They pay out royalties to the original composers, and the rest went to Child's Play charity. Our original goal was $5,000, which would get us gold ranking charity sponsorship from them. And unfortunately, we only managed to raise about $3,000 so far, but we made it to silver sponsorship. Child's Play charity.
That's still a sizable amount, though.
Is that not? Yeah.
People making remixes and then convincing people to, or getting people to buy it. That's great.
It was very new. We tried our darndest to get everyone to share it, and Child's Play charity was very grateful, and I'm sure we must have made some sort of impact there. And more importantly, the multiplayer VG album I think sets precedent for the game remix community, that if this one dorky kid sitting in his college dorm can grab all of his friends and make music together and raise money for charity, maybe we formed some friendships in like this whole thing. I'm sure a lot of people met a lot of people during this, and it really led way to how Operation 1UP was able to come about. But yeah, it was just this crazy cool 2.5 hours, I think, of video game music made by every stretch of the internet.
Awesome. All right, so I have a couple questions. One,
Go for it.
How did you come up with the alphabetical song idea?
So there was a couple ideas for the alphabetical song ideas. The main thing was that we wanted people to be challenged, because we thought that the challenge would be more motivating. And while we're definitely not going to try the alphabet again, we wanted to make sure that there was a theme, something that made Multiplayer VG album stand out as an album, let alone a charity album. So a lot of the ideas that we didn't use might be used for our multiplayer too. So things like everyone has to collaborate was one, so that there would always be like a group effort, and the idea of multiplayer would really come about. Mm-hmm. Things like your song must be like 3 minutes long, everyone must pick a different game, was actually a very a dubious sort of choice of theme that we didn't go with, but we definitely encouraged. We did not want to have 5 Wind Waker covers and like
Wind
one.
Waker has a great soundtrack though.
But it does. That's the thing. It was we didn't want to limit, but we also wanted to guide, and that's the thin line that we walk with making these albums. And luckily, I think the coordination between friends just made it work out anyway. Mm-hmm. And the alphabetical idea, I think, still kind of pushed people to come up with something clever, because we had extras.
I like that you have a Child's Play, and the alphabet is generally associated with like education and kids and stuff. So there's that thing. Yeah, that's what you're going for, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I think I just forgot, honestly, though. I think David or someone must have pointed out. It's like, hey, it's kind of like ABCs for kids, and I was like, oh yeah.
Inception moment.
It looks cool on the box.
So, bringing that many artists together must have been pretty interesting, right?
Yes.
Let's see. How do I put this? Was it easier, harder, more inspiring than you thought it would be? Like, what would be your takeaway? Like, you said you're obviously working on the second one, which you pointed out.
Right.
Multiplayer VG2. So obviously it wasn't a bad experience, but I'm saying sure. What would you do differently if you could do it again, which you're going to, but
right. Well, I'll kind of answer that in part, because that's a couple of good questions. It's kind of like the SpongeBob episode of Band Geeks, where you literally wrestle every character that they've drawn in the series into a band. So in that sense, I want to say I've already been friends, or David and I were friends with 80% of multiplayer to begin with, and that experience just comes from showing your appreciation on YouTube and wherever for that person's music, asking questions, showing interest. I can't answer it by saying how to become friends with people, but it boils down to our fascination with each other's music and our favorite games. So when we brought in say myself, I'd known people like Jonathan Parecki, who'd been really big fan of like 80s hard rock and stuff, and we've already worked together so many times that he was really motivated to do something a little different. And as a result, he did an acoustic number. He did the Kingdom Hearts song. People like Richard E.B., however, he had not met a lot of people before multiplayer VG and stuff. So it really opened up kind of like these doors for all these different kind of people that don't normally see together to just be like
networking opportunities.
Yeah,
way to meet people and share music and.
Yes, when you have a mutual goal, also, you set aside some of your differences. Not everyone's a fan of jazz or metal or rock or whatever have you, but we're all fans of video games, and even if you hear your favorite song in a different style, you get that little flicker of a smile, and you realize we're in it to win it, all or nothing.
And
take
for
it
a good
to the
cause.
streets. And for a good cause. So it was great. I actually was very impressed and was fortunate that David and myself and a couple others, we actually asked some of the different people, especially people who didn't work together before, to play solo parts into our arrangements. So for Athletics theme, I asked CS Guitar 89, Rich, and Artificial Fear to play guitar solos consecutively in this like huge breakdown middle part, just so that they would introduce themselves to each other. We would start the album off with way too much metal.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing. But go
ahead. David Russell actually asked Tara Catallo, who's an amazing violinist and singer, as well as Checker Checker, who did a fantastic job on nylon classical guitar for he did Leonardo's Inventions, which is a really harrowing sort of ambient song from Assassin's Creed 2. And just like that, you're not pushing friends, but at the same time, it's like you're at the party and you're like, hey, he plays guitar, she can sing, and you get the pot stirring, as the expression goes. And one of my favorite songs on multiplayer is Pallet Town, which was arranged by Insane in the Rain Music, but it features Ashiko Drum, who's a fantastic drummer, of course, and friend of mine. It features Hat Tracks, who's now the bassist for Tetramino, and is just fantastic when it comes to a sense of rhythm and melody, even on bass, as well as Mark Papagan, who's just like a master at horns. And none of these guys have ever worked like all together in a group, or maybe even individually. Like, it's just these are really cool opportunities.
So you're playing Matchmaker, basically.
We were playing Matchmaker.
Play together now.
I'm playing Matchmaker with my friends and remixers, and it was great. Now, to get on to the second part of your question, of course, there are things that you got to stop the wheels from squeaking, and there's sometimes that we had not like inner conflict per se, but we had a couple songs that aren't making the deadlines. We had a lot of audio issues with a couple of the songs, because a lot of these people are producing their own songs and stuff, and we got to double check this. And audio production as is kind of like this crazy monster all of its own. So the volumes aren't 100% consistent. Something we should have checked for but didn't. And the alphabet rule did kind of make it awkward when we got a bigger response. So we definitely plan on locking in a set list of who's playing what sooner. Check up deadlines and just kind of make the process as straightforward and reliable as possible, so that when the next one ships out, you're going to hear a solid product from everyone who started it, and it'll come out exactly as is. There won't be like any constraint, but there'll still be a feeling of challenge and motivation.
Gotcha. Lastly, can you touch on Louder? It's
Yes.
something that I've seen like a lot of video game remixers seem to talk about it and like it. Can you quickly run down, like for people that don't know,
Sure.
how does it help somebody like yourself and other musicians?
Sure. So Louder is basically this fantastic service that you can almost look at like a record company and like your pathway to releasing your music. So basically, the Louder company and website louder.fm. Once you create an account, all you really need to do is create your cover, remix, or your own original music. And based on whatever composers there were, or say you're covering a song that has an official soundtrack, all you have to do is list out the original composers, and they take the royalty costs from the profit, take a modest amount for themselves to keep running, and the rest goes straight to you. And in the case of multiplayer and Operation 1UP, the after the royalties are paid for the services, we release it on louder.fm, on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, whatever have you, and the money goes to the charity, or in case of Operation 1UP, it goes to John Means Kidney Foundation. So it's a very, very reliable company, and Sebastian Wolf, who's a co-founder of that, has been extremely helpful in running multiplayer and Operation 1UP's releases, just by checking back with me, letting me know, this song's going to be, a little trickier to get royalties for, or it's not, or, just working out the back and forths between Child's Play Charity and myself and Davey Russell, or Thunder Scott for Operation 1UP. So there's a very fluid motion that happens from Louder, and in addition to all of that, I must say their support is fantastic, and they're all hilarious and awesome people that I'm happy to call friends, in addition to the people who help get me some small money on the side. So hats off to Louder.
So it sounds like you would highly recommend it for
absolutely
video game remixers and musicians.
Absolutely. They actually just released mechanical licensing, which in a nutshell allows them to help you sell stuff on Bandcamp or physical copies, or anywhere outside of Louder and iTunes and Google Play. So fantastic upcoming service. Definitely one of the newest, biggest upcoming companies, I think. And all of you guys watching, if you want to release your music for sale or for charity or whatever have you, I can't think of anything better than Louder right now.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to Operation 1UP, which you were involved in. You helped orchestrate a little bit.
Sure.
Why don't you talk a little bit about that process and about Darth Aurelius and John Means and all that?
Absolutely. So Operation 1UP, first and foremost, is sort of a project that Thunder Scott 6267, who's one of my closest friends and an absolutely awesome musician and guy. He basically messaged me a while back, maybe close to January actually, mentioning that Darth Aurelius, who's a huge supporter and lover of video game music and games, just like any of us, and guitar player, to top it off, he unfortunately was struck at just age 16 with kidney failure. So he's been going to dialysis and then trying his best, but he needs a transplant operation. And the reason why Thunder Scott came to me was because I had helped with Multiplayer VG, creating that. And basically what the idea he formulated was that we take the team, build it up with some new faces as well, and we do the same thing, but we try to raise money to pay for this, extremely costly operation for one of our closest friends. So with a goal of $100,000 in mind, we were just, aiming to do as best as we could. And it boiled down to, let's get everybody that we could involved with multiplayer. Even the same person who did the art, Dark Darren, does. He actually did my shirt, as well as both arts. We all just contributed our absolute best. One of the things I actually should mention that I love about multiplayer and Operation 1UP, the album art features every single musician as the character from the game or thing that they produced. So for my song for Operation 1UP, I actually did, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we all chose to do songs that are Darth Aurelius' favorites. So we compiled a list. Thunder Scott asked him what his favorite games are, who his favorite remixers are as well. which I was honored to make the list, make the cut, as well as some friends of ours that we thought he might dig to, which luckily he did. And we all just went down the list, and Darth Aurelius, shockingly, is a huge fan of Star Wars. So
shocker.
Shocker. So my favorite movie of all time is Star Wars. So I did a Star Wars New Hope medley. And I covered every major theme John Williams wrote from Episode 4, and it's like the one thing on there besides a Studio Ghibli song that's not a video game. But hey, Star Wars influenced a lot of video games,
And there were a lot of Star Wars video games too.
There we go.
So there you go.
But we got Mario's, Luigi's, Yoshi's. We even have Family Jewel 7X dressed as Berry Bunny from Conker's Bad Fur Day, which is a very beautiful cross-dressing art, if I might say so myself. But basically what happened from there is we picked out these songs. We thought of everything that we could that Darth likes and covers, and Thunderscott basically reached out to a lot of new faces as well. I've got to say, we had people like Ferd K, Toxic X Eternity, who are fantastic guitar players. And I can actually pull up the list and think more. But we got people like Super Guitar Bros, who are fantastic acoustic guitar duo, who I've actually had the honor of seeing live at MagFest.
Wow.
And then, we just got everybody that was involved in multiplayer that could spare the time to do Operation 1-Up, which was fantastic. And as a result, we came up with probably some of our best works to date individually. And the same process went with Louder, but of course, the same issues with multiplayer, like, trying to meet deadlines, making sure everything could get licensed well. Unfortunately, my contribution is 10.5 minutes long, so it's only available on the album, can't be streamed, and it also, takes more royalties to get to get over to 20th Century Fox. And but it was a fantastic experience to create yet another awesome charitable album. And my role in there was, in addition to making the Star Wars medley, which features David Russell again on piano, and Kristen Nagus, who's this fantastic woodwind instrument player. Shout out to her. She can play any instrument that's woodwind, and they're actually part of Project Astati, which is another Kingdom Hearts project. But that aside, there's just a lot of small things I kind of tried to help out with audio-wise. I performed mastering and audio production for Thunderscott's cover, as well as Mission Guitar's cover of Norfair, Lower Norfair from Super Metroid. So those roles I'm just like very happy to kind of do. It gives me a chance to hear like someone else's music just before it's released, and you're just polishing off something that's already so really good. So I really enjoyed the Operation 1-Up process, and as it was going on, so was things like the Music and Game Fest in Maryland, and a lot of new faces meeting old faces. People like Little V Mills joined in that I'd never gotten to speak to before, and people like Rich B and CS Guitar D9 working together for Streets of Whiterun, which is a beautiful cover. Turned me on to post-rock. So there's just so many different textures and flavors, and Thunderscott came up with this perfect algorithmic, almost like low to high sort of feel to the album. So overall, we just have this fluid product. I will take credit though. I came up with the name Operation 1-Up.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Obviously, Operation being like kind of a mission, and we're paying for an operation, and 1-Up because we're trying to give him a life up, which is kind of what a kidney is. It's a very important organ for filtering out of
toxins and stuff.
Toxins in the blood. Yeah. Thank you. I'm a computer science major.
But
it's fantastic. And again, throughout the whole process, John Means was a very was obviously he's been braver than any of us could ever say we've been in our lives. And to top it off, we had a release party stream that he was there for, helping to answer questions. You can't get any more badass than that. You can't.
Yeah, that's incredibly inspiring, and it just goes to show that this is a community that I think is growing, obviously, and it's one of the best communities I know of. So,
absolutely.
Why don't you take a little bit of time and explain multiplayer VG2 and where can we find any information about that?
Sure. So right now, based on the amazing support of the first 2 charity albums, and Multiplayer 1, of course, is kind of like the direct predecessor, since Operation 1-Up was definitely special and it was not the Multiplayer 2. You can find out more information on facebook.com/multiplayervg, or you can check us out on twitter.com/multiplayervg. We've been always happy to hear questions and ideas, especially about anything that we can do to improve Multiplayer 2. But so far, everything is kind of up in the air. David and I are going to be speaking very soon to talk about some ideas that we have to make Multiplayer 2 even bigger, sound better, get some new faces in, and hopefully blow your mind while raising money for charity.
Now that you mention it, I think I have an idea. You could do reverse alphabetical.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again for talking with me, Ro. And thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.